Welcome to Life Vibes. I'm your host, Breezey Clark. Welcoming to the show is Ben Kunze and Mike Barnette. Ben is the Assistant Director of Residential Living and Learning, and Mike is the Coordinator of Transition Programs here at Tarleton State University. Now, you guys have been pretty busy in this last week with Transition Week with the incoming freshmen.
Yes, ma'am.
Wrapping that up. So tell me a little bit about that.
We actually moved in a little over 1,600 students. Our first time in college students. FTIC is what you'll hear terminology used. Stands for first time in college students, like I said.
Okay.
On campus this last Saturday and Sunday, we have a run of the rest of our students moving in this following weekend. But we do that so that way we can provide this transition week experience, if you want to call it returner free, as we call anybody that's already been on campus for a year or less, a returning student returning back to Tarleton. We want to provide a distraction free experience for them to get to know the university, get to know themselves, get to know their peers that are going to be living here without those returners coming back and making that, if you want to say, muddying up that experience even by bringing in some of their bad habits they already know for that piece.
Yeah. To some extent. Well, I mean, at college, it's just the way that it is, and so you never know. And so there's a whole week before school starts that it's just the freshmen here.
Right. We've structured an environment where the only upperclassmen influence is the residential leaders and our transition mentors that have been trained to kind of serve in a leadership role and mentor them through this transition.
To provide that positive learning experience coming in and having the right idea and the right outlook.
Exactly.
And that whole piece has been a huge transition this last year for us. I mean, we've really worked well together. TTMs and ROs, obviously the TTMs, or transition mentors, they've had the students through orientation in the summer. They've had the students through duck camp, and then now they're handing them off to the residential leaders, but we've got them for the next 9 months out of the year.
Yeah, so we really consider our side of the equation kind of the familiar faces. But what really the role that we serve this week is to help, kind of pass the torch and help them feel comfortable with their residential leader. Because we're more of an ice-breaking kind of group, but we've kind of articulated it for ourselves as we're the sprinters because we have this summer, and they're the marathon runners. Like they have to do it over the course of the year, and so if we can help, help lay the foundation for those relationships, it's better for everyone all the way around.
So there are steps for the freshmen from the time they graduate high school pretty much until that first day of school and then carrying on through the semester. And how long has this program been available at Tarleton?
This is actually the second year that we've had a transition week. So prior to last year, the class of 2016, prior to that, they would move in the Saturday before they started classes on Monday. But now we have kind of this buffer time where they can kind of get their feet under them, get accustomed to the new environment. Exactly.
Learn the campus a little bit, know where the buildings are going to be, so that way on that first day of class they're not going, I need to be in the John Autry building, and everyone knows it as the Ag building, or I have to be in Humanities. That's actually the OA Grant building, and they have no clue in that case. And so,
well, so if you're doing it again this year, then it was successful, you would say, last year.
Yeah, I mean, we had the growing pains and a lot of things we felt like we wanted to do better and do differently, but overall the feedback all the way from the academic side to our side was pretty positive, that it was overall helpful to the students to have that week to.
Now, were there any students that maybe didn't want to come to school a week early?
Oh yeah.
I will say
is that difficult?
There are some of them that say, I've still got a job, I'm going to be working back home. My mom is a little sick right now, I can't be there, and we're trying to accommodate those as well by giving them some options, depending on what the actual reasoning is behind that.
Yeah, and that's a distinct feature of Transition Week this year that we didn't have last year. That they actually start their first class the Monday of Transition Week. So they have a first-year seminar course that this is the first class that it's on their actual degree plan. And so it's a 1-hour course that they have to complete, and it's front-loaded into Transition Week. So they knock out a bunch of hours during Transition Week, and then it continues, in most cases, through the first half of the semester. So they get that credit that they have to graduate. So in there, for a first-year student, Monday of Transition Week, that's when school starts. And so it's tough for them to get in the mindset because it doesn't feel like school started, but in reality, it has for them.
Right, and that's been, in the past, it's been known as a DGS course, something like that. They take it the first semester, so it's the same overall aspect in that case.
Right. So there's a lot of benefits for them to be here academically as well.
But it's required. I mean, like
So
some of those students, if they, for instance, if they can't attend transition week, or if they can't be here throughout this week they do have an emergency situation, they're not going to be. We'll relieve them from that class for this year, and then we'll actually end up putting them in during the spring semester into that same first year seminar course.
So they're going to have to take it one way or the other.
Right, they're going to take it. It's actually becoming a core requirement for all
Well,
degree
that's good
plans.
because with that transition week, you would want as many students here as possible. You wouldn't want to miss that.
Right.
And we ran into that a little bit last year where, some of them realized that while all this stuff may be beneficial, there was no ramifications if you didn't stick around for all this that we'd prepared for. And so once we kind of brought in this extra wrinkle of, your class is starting, it's a much easier sell to be like, hey,
Right.
it's going to affect your GPA if you're not taking part in these things.
And you want to get off on the right foot when you're a freshman.
Yeah. And I think it's important also that this isn't a strictly academic week. Like, we want them to get to make some social connections and meet people and feel more comfortable. And so everybody from rec sports to SWAT to student engagement area, everybody is kind of working together to have some different programs and do some things where they can meet people, get out there, and feel more comfortable.
And see what the campus has available.
It's really a showcase for our campus and for student life, especially because we get to show them a little bit.
Not
of
only
what we
our
do.
groups or organizations, also
Yeah.
some of the activities, like for instance rec sports last night, they put on the movie on the lawn. They also did dueling pianos. Well, that obviously gave the students in Rec Fest the day before.
Yeah.
That gave the students a chance to go actually see the rec center, know or I guess if you want to say some of the staff already, know the resources they can get within the rec center. For instance, career services, they put on some stuff.
Yep.
As you were saying, student activities, they're just going to host an organizational fair, so that way these students are already getting engaged in the culture and the actual Tarleton family, if you want to call it,
Yeah.
the piece that we proclaim all the time to be such a big deal here.
Right. Well, and then and having other areas of Tarleton come together, that does kind of re-implement that family feeling,
Right.
that everyone works together and that there's something for everyone here,
Right.
and that the students are welcome everywhere.
And we feel like we have a good platform here to not only do the academics and do the social, but to help them understand really what being a Tarleton student is all about. So we have a few student labs, if you will, where they learn
Right.
about the core values of the institution and university expectations. And they learn about the strengths philosophy and alcohol EDU and all these things that in the past we've really depended on the student to be more proactive to go
To just
learn
know.
about these
Right.
things.
Right.
Educate yourself.
Exactly. And then you
For
can
the most
imagine
part.
an 18-year-old taking on more than
Or
they
just
have to.
do this course, this quick thing online, and do that piece,
Right.
and now we're actually engaging them in discussion and that whole piece afterwards. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a huge success. Alcohol EDU, Monday had all of 900 people that completed or started the first part. I think Darla talked about it this morning. We're up to almost 1,800 now today. So I mean, that's us being so engaging with them on this piece is actually
Right.
creating a much more successful environment for the resources we're providing them with as well.
That's an incredible
great.
number.
It's hard to believe. I think we
Yeah.
had 1980 as the
We were a
total.
little bit shocked, but yeah, we're over
Yeah.
1,800 completed alcohol EDU.
Wow.
By the deadline was stated as yesterday.
Right.
So
Well, and that's sending such a positive message to the students coming in from all different backgrounds and all different lifestyles, to show that that's kind of the outlook that we have here, to be educated and to be responsible. Well, so the summer has been successful. Now the transition week is wrapping up. School is about to start. So what's next on the agenda?
Well, what's next on
Ben's
the
turn.
agenda?
So now Ben's going to take over now.
Sort of. We obviously we have 75 residential leaders on campus now.
Now the residential leaders, did they, when they became the residential leaders, was that based on like prior experiences coming in as freshmen, that they, how did they become the leaders? Because obviously they must be pretty special students,
Right.
to be able to do that.
A lot of them, we do an interview process that takes both semesters. We start in November. Actually, we'll end up going into the Christmas break with them having completed several interview processes, a group interview and then an individual interview with an RC. And then we end up doing another process that continues on to the spring, and we actually select our residential leaders at that point. So it's actually about a 4 or 5 month process that we go through with an RL class at the end of it, the last 6 weeks. So it is pretty extensive on that piece. A lot of our students that are wanting to do the residential leader position actually were residents that had a great interaction with their residential leader, or they've also been one of the ones that say, my residential leader may not have been everything I wanted them to be. So I want to be able to provide that for the next group of students and be what that person wasn't able to be.
And so they are very responsible, very highly.
It's a high
We hope
responsibility
so. We hope so
position.
in a lot of cases. But yeah. And so what's going to take place now is pretty much the residential leaders are going to get involved with them, engage them within their halls, engage them, have them build the relationships, not only on their halls but across campus. And that's why we have residential leaders that actually have co-RLs, and so they mix and mingle into that whole piece. So they not only get to know the people just in their actual hall, if you want to say their floor, but also all across campus. And that's taking place right now through T Week as well, with the help of the TTMs in that part. But we're going to work towards and start working with, still with Mike in a lot of cases, for the First Year Cup events that are going to take place. And that's where we actually try to get all of our first year students out to multiple events on campus that we've designated as necessary for those first year students to participate in still, which highlights some of our resources, some of our additional activities that need to take place that we feel is beneficial to that first year experience.
Right.
Very similar to, and just continuing on what we started now with T Week, or Transition
T
Week.
really helps lay some groundwork for them to kind of have some pride in their hall. And I live in Legacy, or we all live in Bender, or we live
that
in Honeywell.
unity.
Exactly. And so we kind of try to capitalize on the pride they have in where they live, and just kind of little friendly competition so that we can. They think they're competing to win this First Year Cup, but really we're just trying to get them to take advantage of these things on campus that are beneficial in their first year.
If this is going on TV news, maybe we should have said that.
But let our secret out.
But regardless,
so that's the secret.
We can
revealed
edit
now.
that part out, right? But no, regardless with that, I mean, it is to get them out and do that piece. But we do the competition piece by far. The RLs get into it, and the students really get into it, and some of the benefits they get is like. One year we had literally at the hall that was ahead after so many events at one of the home football games got a food truck to come. They got to pick anything they wanted from the food truck on us. And we've had ones where they get the entire hall after they win, the entire facility, if you want to call it the building, whichever hall it is, actually gets to go, all of them go bowling one night or something like that. And so, I mean, we've got
So
a number of
there are rewards to the competition.
Right, there are rewards for the residents to go.
And bragging rights.
And bragging rights,
Of course.
You get a banner and get to hang it up in your hall. And that
Well, in
piece, so.
Tarleton, I've noticed it's a lot about school pride and wanting to be as engaged and active as possible. And so winning those competitions, I'm sure it does constitute as having some bragging rights.
Definitely.
So what are some of the upcoming activities that you look forward to in the fall?
Big one is most of our events for homecoming. I think
Right.
we've got several of those on there, like the midnight breakfast, the actual. I'm trying to think.
Oh, there's again, there's a whole week.
Right.
A whole week
A
of
whole week
activities.
of
So
additional
everything from the
events.
Purple Out picnic
Right,
to the bonfire
to
to all these
midnight
different things that
breakfast.
we really want to encourage them to feel like they're invited to be a part of with the rest of the campus.
That's that's on, I guess, the latter end of the semester. But upcoming stuff is like we've got the multicultural fair and exhibit that's going to take place outside of the dining hall patio.
And what will that entail exactly?
That's going to entail, I believe it's partnering with ODI, our Office for Diversity and Inclusion, and what they're going to do is, and Multicultural Affairs, I think Jennifer Edwards, Dr. Edwards as well, they're going to have some different people come out and not only put on, I don't want to say a display, but actually introduce the students to different cultures along the lines of the Hispanic Heritage Month, whether it be a matter of some of our international students putting out there, this is where I come from, this is some of the cultures that go along within my country and stuff like that. And so it allows our students who are from the rural areas and some of our commuter students and students who haven't even possibly been outside of Texas to see this is what the culture is like and improve that whole overarching aspect of diversity that we're trying to push within the halls, along the lines of you don't have to just because you're both from small towns doesn't mean you have anything in common.
Right, exactly.
In that aspect and that like-mindedness.
So continuing to broaden their horizons, continuing to
Right.
expand their awareness.
Definitely. And I think this is a good example of really what we do in our partnership in the First Year Cup. It's not necessarily about, in most cases, it's not us hosting events
Right.
and having these different things that they come to. It's us using it as a platform to promote other people's events, like other things that
Right,
happen on
to
campus.
bring it
So-
all together. And
Yeah,
so
so
you're
obviously-
just encouraging and raising that awareness and providing services for them so that they can be a part.
Definitely.
Well, I think it's a great program, and I really appreciate y'all being here today.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a great fall semester.
We're
We're
looking
going to
forward
try.
to it.
Thank you.
Sounds
All right.
great. Life Vibes is a product of Texan News Service. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And until next time, keep the good vibes rolling.